Global warming is a very relevant topic in today's world. The 10 hottest years on record have all been from the 2010s, and the Earth's sea levels have been rising at an alarming rate. Pollution is widespread throughout the world, especially in our country, with 9 out of the top 10 most polluted cities coming from India. The top 50 most polluted cities all come from Asia, particularly the Indo-China region. Oxygen levels have been decreasing globally due to the burning of fossil fuels and the emission of carbon dioxide. Greenhouse gas emissions are on the rise and our protective ozone layer is getting depleted.
How does global warming occurs? Global warming occurs when carbon dioxide, CO2 and other air pollutants collect in the atmosphere and absorb sunlight and solar radiation that have bounced off the Earth's surface. Normally, this radiation would escape into space, but these pollutants, which can last for years to centuries in the atmosphere, trap the heat and cause the planet to get hotter. These heat-trapping pollutants, specifically carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor and synthetic fluorinated gases are known as greenhouse gases, and their impact is called the greenhouse effect. Earth's earliest atmosphere, not known with certainty. The bulk was likely dinitrogen N2 and carbon dioxide CO2, along with the traces of water, methane, carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Such an atmosphere is described as a weakly reducing atmosphere. Such an atmosphere contains practically no oxygen. Paleoproterozoic era, spanning from 2.5 to 1.6 billion years ago. Almost all existing life forms were anaerobic organisms whose metabolism was based upon a form of cellular respiration that did not require oxygen. Free oxygen in large amounts was toxic to most anaerobic organisms. However, between 2.4 and 2 billion years ago, the global oxygen levels, the Earth's atmosphere, and the shallow ocean experienced a rise in the amount of oxygen. Evidence suggests that biologically produced molecular oxygen, dioxygen, O2, started to accumulate in the Earth's atmosphere. This is attributed to photosynthesis by cyanobacteria, which are thought to have evolved as early as 3.5 billion years ago. Consequently, the majority of the anaerobic life forms on Earth died when the atmospheric free oxygen levels soared in the extinction event called the Great Oxidation Event. The only life forms that survived were either those resistant to the oxidation and poisonous effects of oxygen or those sequestered in oxygen-free environments. This is widely considered to be one of the first and most significant mass extinctions in the history of Earth. Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution in 1760 to 1840 in Great Britain saw the discovery of new sources of energy such as coal, water and steam. Later in the 19th century, Second Industrial Revolution used electricity and oil to make developments that changed the way humans lived and worked around the globe. By the end of 20th century, the world was completely dependent on and rapidly depleting the planet's fossil fuel. The result of this is rising concentrations of greenhouse gases that are overheating the planet. In 1896, Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius was the first to suggest that the burning of fossil fuels adds carbon dioxide gas to Earth's atmosphere and could raise the planet's average temperature. But Arrhenius' theory was dismissed by the mainstream scientific community, which reasoned that such a major climatic change would not likely be produced by humans and could only happen slowly over tens of thousands of years. They believed that vast oceans would absorb most of the carbon dioxide. By the 1950s and 1960s, with the improved instruments of measuring long wave radiation, scientists could prove that Arrhenius' theory was correct. Studies also confirmed that carbon dioxide levels were indeed rising year after year. Evidence shows that the Industrial Revolution contributed significantly to global warming. Future. By 2050, 200 million people might be forced to move due to environmental changes. That's more than 20 times the number of Syrians who has been displaced due to conflict in the country. By 2050, all reefs could be at the risk of disappearing as the ocean becomes more acidic, new coral won't be able to grow, and existing coral will dissolve. One report shows that by 2050, climate impacts on crop yields could increase the number of malnourished children by around 11 million in Asia, 10 million in Africa, and 1.4 million in Latin America. Half of all plants and a third of animals could lose more than 50% of their current habitats by 2080, and tens of thousands of species are already becoming extinct. Temperatures in parts of Middle East could become so hot that even the fittest humans won't be able to survive outside for more than a few hours by 2100. Earth is currently on track for 2.7 degrees Celsius of warming by 2100. A rise of 2 degrees Celsius is considered the cutoff of irreversible climate change. If the world temperature rises by 2 degrees, mountain glaciers and rivers will start to disappear and mountainous regions will see more landslides as the permafrost that held them together melts away. By 2100, sea levels could rise by a meter, displacing 10% of the world's population. Countries such as the Maldives will be submerged and the Indian subcontinent will be left fighting for survival. People will also die in great numbers as they struggle with the increasing heat. Ecosystem will collapse and a third of all life on earth will face extinction. Plant growth will slow and then stop. Plants don't absorb carbon dioxide very well, so begin to emit it, making global warming worse. The world's food centers will become barren, and within 85 years, one third of the planet will be without fresh water. Countries must do more to cut carbon emissions and save the world from a disastrous future. Solutions: minimize the usage of fossil fuels and replace them with renewable resources such as light energy, wind energy, and hydroelectricity. Reduce carbon emissions by walking, using cycles, public transport, or carpooling. Plant trees and cut down on deforestation. Always abiding by the 3 Rs: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce the amount of waste, reuse as much as possible, and recycle all that can be recycled. Buying eco-friendly products. Stop burning waste as it pollutes the air and emits toxic greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Save energy. Factories should install smokestacks and use mechanical collectors, electrostatic precipitators, dust filters, and scrubbers to prevent further air pollution. Spread awareness.
Global warming isn't a prediction, it is happening. James Hansen. Global warming is a crisis of a huge magnitude which calls for immediate action because at the rate at which we are going, the Earth will be unfit for living in the near future. Earth is certainly a unique planet, getting the right amount of heat and light and water, making it the only planet capable of life. Let's be wise enough to protect our Mother Earth.